Are you a Nepo baby? Or do you know someone who is a Nepo baby? Chances are, you said yes to at least one of those. Now, when people hear Nepo baby, they usually picture an easy life. Spoiled kids born into wealth, living off daddy's money without ever facing real consequences. And sure, sometimes that's true, but not always. Meet John Meaton. Called Mad Jack by contemporaries, John Meaton was born into a 500-year-old family of
Shropshire
squires, a man of high social standing who owned and lived on a rural estate. His father died at the early age of 30, leaving Jack to inherit the family seat at just 2 years old. The toddler promptly became lord of his own manor and had an inherited income of £60,000 plus £10,000 annually, which is like 5 to 10 million pounds and 800 to 1.5 million pounds annually in today's money. Inheriting that much? Shit, I don't know what I'd do.
Bunch of hookers and cocaine.
As befits a young gentleman of his station, Mad Jack was sent to Westminster School for his education. However, his time there was short-lived as he was expelled after just 1 year for beating the shit out of his teacher. After that, they tried Harrow School, who expelled him 3 times for different reasons. His mom did not want to give up on his education, just like how a good mother should. She refused to make her boy grow up uneducated and a
muttonhead.
so she hired the finest series of private tutors, whom Mad Jack tormented with practical jokes. In one instance, he left a horse in a tutor's bedroom to startled the man upon waking. Despite his lack of academic achievement, Mad Jack was granted entry to Trinity College, Cambridge in 1816 because of his nobility. Mad Jack knew that school was a snorefest, and so he arrived with 2,000 bottles of alcohol to sustain him during his studies. But eventually, when university life proved to be too boring for him, he dropped out. Since he wasn't really cut out for school or academic life, the military was the obvious next path. Mad Jack joined a local volunteer cavalry unit at just 16 years old in 1812, already holding the rank of captain, which is really impressive because when I was 16, I was just playing Fortnite and probably passing out the next day. Later on, he moved into the regular army and even spent time stationed in France after Napoleon was defeated. It turned out military life was just as boring as school, and so Mad Jack spent his hours gambling and drinking before finally deciding he couldn't take it anymore and going home. He failed at school, got bored of the military, and did what any man like that would do. He ran for politics. In 1819, at the age of 23, he secured a seat as MP for Shrewsbury by the simple convenience of offering voters £10 notes, spending a total of £10,000 on his campaign. His victory was celebrated throughout the town. Upon being chaired, a traditional celebration for a new MP, Mad Jack threw himself through a window of the Lion Inn to deliver his victory speech to the reception inside. However, his political career was short-lived. Mad Jack spent a mere 30 minutes in the House of Commons, finding the debates boring and difficult to follow due to being partially deaf. He took on a series of local, mostly ceremonial roles. He was High Sheriff of
Merionethshire
in 1821 to 22, then High Sheriff of
Shropshire
in 1823 to 24. After that, he served as mayor of Oswestry from 1824 to 25. Around the same time, in 1822, he also ran the money side of Salop Infirmary in Shrewsbury, basically overseeing its funds. Meanwhile, he indulged in his enjoyment of horse racing and gambling, and enjoyed some success at both. He bought a horse named Euphrates, which was already a consistent winner, and entered it in the Gold Cup of Lichfield in 1825, and it duly won. It is said that in 1826, in order to win a bet, he rode a horse into the Bedford Hotel, up the grand staircase, and onto the balcony, from which he jumped, still seated on his horse, over the diners in the restaurant below, and out through the window onto the parade. He also held contests for local children, giving sums ranging from half a crown, about 59 cents, to half a guinea, about $5, to those who rolled all the way down the hill of Moldinus. Beyond horses and horse racing, Mad Jack had a great love of hunting foxes. He spent his winters hunting interchangeably with some 2,000 dogs. His favorites among them were fed on steak and champagne. When the chase got particularly exciting, he'd strip off his clothes and continue naked, no matter how cold it was. He also continued hunting despite being unseated and sustaining broken ribs. Every once in a while, when regular hunting got boring, he made his stable boys strap on ice skates and go on wild goose chase for rats. It was said of Mad Jack that not only did he not mind accidents, he positively liked them. One time, while trying out a new horse in tandem, one horse in front of another, Mad Jack asked the horse dealer if he thought the horse was a good timber jumper. The dealer said that he didn't know. So then, Mad Jack made the unfortunate horse jump a turnpike gate while still attached, leaving the second horse and demolished vehicle on the far side of the gate. On another occasion, he scared the living shit out of his passenger in his gig by asking him if he had ever been tipped over in a carriage. On learning that his companion had never been in a gig that had overturned, Mad Jack promptly arranged the experience for him on the spot. He spurred the horses on, drove the carriage up a bank at breakneck speed, and purposely crushed them both. One of the most famous stories involved Mad Jack riding into his own drawing room on a bear, which he kept at home, which is fucking nuts. He also dressed in full hunting outfit, including spurs, with which he pricked the animal, which promptly and understandably turned around and bit his leg right through. His biographer also said that he drank 8 bottles of port every day with brandy on the side in case that wasn't enough alcohol for him. Once, his love of alcohol went too far. He actually forced his horse to drink a bottle of port, which then resulted in the animal's death. Rest in peace, horse. Mad Jack's extravagant lifestyle and reckless spending eventually caught up with him. Over the course of 15 years, he managed to squander his entire inheritance and fall deeply into debt. He owned ridiculous amount of stuff. He had 150 pairs of hunting breeches, 700 pairs of handmade hunting boots, 1,000 hats, and to top it all off, some 3,000 shirts. His agent had calculated that if Mad Jack would reduce his annual expenditure to 6,000 pounds for 6 years, his estate could be saved. Mad Jack's response to this was, "You tell Longville I wouldn't give a damn to live on a 6,000 pounds a year." As his financial situation deteriorated, Mad Jack's creditors closed in. In 1831, to avoid arrest and imprisonment for debt, he fled to France and fell in with a group of English adventurers who, like him, were avoiding the long arm of English justice. His time in France was the final stage of his physical and mental disintegration. He was drunk almost all the time, drinking 4 to 6 bottles of port every single day. He didn't even wait until nighttime. He started drinking in the morning while getting ready for the day. It was during this period that the most infamous of all his exploits occurred: the hiccup cure. According to eyewitnesses, during one particularly bad bout of hiccups, Mad Jack stripped naked in his room, lit a candle, and set himself on fire. After that, a servant and a fellow guest rushed in and put out the flames. Mad Jack triumphantly announced, "The hiccup is gone, by God," before stumbling back into bed. In 1833, Mad Jack returned to England, perhaps out of a misguided belief that his debts had been settled, or simply because he was too ill to remain in exile. Upon returning, surprise, surprise, he was promptly arrested and confined in Shrewsbury prison before being transferred to the King's Bench prison in Southwark. King's Bench was a debtor's prison, but for a man of Mad Jack's status and condition, it was a death sentence. He died on March 29, 1833 1834 at the age of 37. The cause of death was delirium tremens, the result of a body and mind finally collapsing under the weight of decades of chronic alcohol abuse and the wretchedness of his final circumstances. His funeral, held on April 9, 1834, was an event of immense local significance. He was buried in the private chapel of Houston Hall, and despite his many failings, thousands of people, from the elite to the laboring poor, attended the service. So, yeah, rest in peace, Mad Jack.